All right. Okay, I know. I can already hear the people that have a problem with the title of this episode, but I don't care because, well, it's late. I'm tired. I've been working a long time, and this is important, and everybody else is wrong. So we're going to talk about it. And Bitcoin is biblically and morally sound money. Well, what do I mean? Well, ever since I discovered two things, I cannot seem to separate them. And I wrote down a lot of notes for this because I just have to get it out of my brain, and I'm going to process through this because, like, I think Christians particularly, or anyone that is morally sound or strives to be, gets this wrong. But basically, I deeply believe that Bitcoin and Jesus are more closely linked than possibly anything else that exists, and that Bitcoin is the most honest monetary technology in human history. It's anchored to energy, to physics, and to reality itself. And that Jesus is not only the source of all truth, but he is truth itself, okay? And so when you take Bitcoin as fundamental truth, or truth in the physical world, backed by or anchored to energy, into physics, into reality itself, then Jesus being the truth and Bitcoin being truth, there's a massive intersection here. Now, here's the problem. Why does any of this matter? I know this sounds crazy, but my poor team is going to be like, what the heck are you talking about, Josh? Why are we talking about this? Well, here's why. Because right now, I believe that we are living through the first monetary revolution since the creation of central banking. And nobody who is morally sound, or nobody that is claims to be Christian or claims to be of faith, and also is in the monetary space or in the financial space, seems to be positioning themselves or like realizing the opportunity that's put in front of us. Because the monetary system as we know it is going to collapse. We're going through a monetary change, right? The central bank system that happened, which was just fiat money, is one of the greatest evils that exists in the world today. That system is going to fail. We're seeing this. You have Ray Dalio with the big debt crisis, a runaway inflation out of control. We're printing money out of control. There's no real solution to it. So it's going to collapse and it's going to reset. When? Who knows? But it's happening. It's going to come. Okay. Well, the problem is that we, for the first time in history, we actually have a solution for this. For the first time in history, actually never before in history, have we had biblically sound, morally sound money. What do I mean? Well, okay. The Bible says that dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord. That's Proverbs 11, verse 1, I believe. Okay. What does it mean by like a dishonest scale is an abomination? Well, Bitcoin is not a technology. It is a monetary system that cannot be debased, confiscated, or inflated by political will. And that is the property of a non-dishonest or an honest scale. A dishonest scale, which would be money that is manipulated and money that can be changed, or money that could be stolen from you. And so never before in history have we had a monetary system or had the ability to fix the dishonest scales that it talks about in Proverbs. It's like, hey, this type of stuff it's an abomination to God, which, by the way, let's just pause here for a second. Because by the way, welcome back to the show. I know this was like kind of a very much like, whoa, we'll hit the ground running start to this, but we're going to talk about Dave Ramsey and his approach. And like, I've got my own issues with Dave Ramsey. We're going to set those aside. We're going to look at it objectively because he's got a lot of things right, but there's something he's got wrong. And I think he's leading a lot of Christians in the wrong direction. We'll talk about kind of these 6 points, the biblical argument for morally sound money and a monetary system backed by it. The Bitcoin as an investment, the first monetary revolution. We'll talk about the historical, or that honest money is actually not a financial issue. It's a theological issue. And we'll bring it all together with the fact that we have this window of opportunity that we shouldn't squander. Okay, so before we dive into that, though, because we do have a pretty jam-packed show today. Can you I've got a lot on my mind. And so I wrote this all down. But before we get into that, next week we have an event coming up here in Denver called Invisible Deals Live, which we're talking a lot about. Like, we're doing deal structure. 20 entrepreneurs are going to come out. I think we have 7 seats left. If you want to come out to that, you can go to invisibledeals.com for that. But that actually ties right into this, because we have this problem with entrepreneurs today that essentially, like, if you've ever felt tired, if you've ever felt like business is just hard, it's like business is hard as all get out right now. And life is just hard. And it just feels like someone is like, when you go to sleep, someone's like plugged into you and just like sucking the life out of you. Like the rest is not rest. And it's like, you just can't get ahead. And it's like, well, why? Because you can't, because someone literally is sucking the life out of you, because we're living in this economic system that is dishonest, which it's literally what the Bible warns about. Now, listen, I don't have any interest in sitting up here and lecturing you about the Bible. I don't. I'm a follower of Jesus. He's the king, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not. Okay. He just is, but I'm not a pastor, and it's not here to be like, oh, you should, be a Christian. No, like, Christians suck just as much as anybody else. But the Bible is true, and it speaks truth. And what God talks about in the Bible, he lays out, says like, hey, this dishonest scale, this ability to manipulate, to be dishonest, to cheat, to lie, to steal, not only those things, but to do all those things without people even realizing it, or with people knowing it's happening but don't know why, and they're doing it right in front of you and you can't figure it out. That's an abomination to the Lord. And so that's kind of a big deal, because I don't know if you've ever read the book of Job, but, when Job is yelling at God, or basically being like, God, like, why are you doing this? It's like, who are you? Where were you? Where were you when I formed the earth? It's like, God's so powerful. He's so great. He's so holy. He's so incredible that, like, our opinion is basically irrelevant. No, not basically. It is irrelevant. And what he says goes. And so if he says that it's an abomination, it's an abomination, and we shouldn't do that. And so you kind of have this intersection that's happening right now that most people don't see. And I'm kind of just done with it. I'm kind of just done with Christians being annoying as shit, quite frankly. Like Christians, just get off your righteous high horse and like, oh, I read Revelations and therefore, Bitcoin is the mark of the beast type of bullshit. Okay, like, just get off of that, okay? Let's just look at the facts and break this down. Because we have this opportunity in front of us. It's the greatest opportunity it's probably the most significant opportunity, certainly of our lifetimes, and in many, potentially many generations to come. Far more significant, by the way, than AI ever would be. Far more significant, by the way, revolutionary. Okay, what is that? It's the ability to reset the monetary system based in biblically sound, or a morally and biblically sound economic system. But we'll get to that. First, you should check out invisibledeals.com. Come next week in person with us, to us. We rent that at a golf course, 3 days. You'll walk away with a five-figure deal. And also you're going to hear me rant about Bitcoin, okay? But really you're going to make money. Okay, so here's what we've got. We have the Bible in Proverbs 11, verse 1 saying, dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord. Okay, it's not a metaphor. This is like a literal, like a truth statement. It's factual, right? God says, don't mess with the measurement. Don't cheat. Don't lie. Don't manipulate the standard, okay? Because that's wrong. And so from that moment, or from the time of the fall up until current reality, every single monetary system that has existed, every single one of them, okay, whether it was back in Rome, when you had times when you had seashells as currency, all the way up to fiat, even gold, when gold was the base currency. It's like every monetary system in history allowed for manipulation and dishonesty in it. And so that's an issue, because that means that everything that we transact on is fundamentally broken. So it's like, okay, well, there's point number one. There's problem number one, or thing number one we have to address. Is God said it's a problem. Every monetary system allows for it to happen. But the second issue here is that we are living through the first major monetary revolution since the creation of central bank, of fiat money and the central bank, which, oh my gosh, like, if Satan had a face, it would be the monetary system. I'm just letting you know.
The current fiat monetary system, the ability to steal human life away. I'm a big fan of Robert Breedlove. If you really want to check out and break down like the numbers and the stats on how this all works, I would recommend checking him out. But basically, Christians are here like, oh God, please help us, or please, how do we get rid of evil in this world? How do we fix it? It's like, fix the money, fix the world. Okay, the love of money is the root of all evil. Okay, and it's like, well, if the money's broken, and if the fundamental truth and the fundamental reality that the entire world is the only objective truth that exists in the world, if that system is broken, it is fundamentally set up in such a way that it can be an abomination to Jesus, and that is the foundation of all of society, then fix that, address that, and watch how much the world changes, watch how much evil goes away, because evil will be defunded. What the heck do I mean by an objective reality or objective truth and being the foundation of society? Well, money, at least in America, I don't have cash on me because cash is not actually what you think it is, but regardless, money is the only thing that we all collectively agree on is objectively, like all collectively agree is the same. We can't agree on anything, but we all agree that a dollar is a dollar. And so if every single decision in your life is based on, or a majority of the decisions in your life is based on something, money, and that thing is what a majority or what of all other decisions by everybody else is based on, and that is how you interact with one another, it's how you keep a record of one another, it's how you build societies, it's the foundation of everything. If that's broken, then, well, if that's the foundation, then that means that like everything's built on top of it. And if that's broken, then everything on top of it is broken as well. Okay, so if everything on top of it is broken as well, then you're building your house on a non-firm foundation. The Bible says, build your house upon the rock, don't build it upon sand. Okay, so like what's that mean? Well, fiat money or every monetary system that's ever existed in history has been a sandy foundation. Okay, so Christians are going and they're praying, oh, Jesus, please, God, please help us, rid the world of evil. And it's like, okay, well, what's causing evil? Like what's allowing the transgenderism bullshit to happen? What's allowing them to fund endless wars, which, by the way, don't even get me started. Trump, what the fudge is happening? Why Trump? Like, bro, why? I'm going to order a flag. I'm going to order a flag and have it say, no more wars, Donald Trump. And I'm going to fly like, screw you, dude. Like, anyway, fund endless wars. Why? Wars are evil. And so what's allowing that to happen? What's allowing the transgenderism nonsense to happen? What's allowing all of this evil to be funded? Broken money is. And so Christians are wondering, oh, why is such evil what happened? The vaccine issue, all of it. And in the Bible, it's like, well, dishonest money is an abomination to the Lord. You can't serve two masters. You shouldn't, like, the love of money, the root of all evil. It's like maybe the problem is with the money. And maybe the problem is that the money is broken. And maybe God has given us, for the first time in history, the ability to fundamentally address it at the root cause. You have Christianity, which I think 230 million Americans, I think it's something like 200, it's over 200 million Americans claim Christianity. And then you have like 65 million of us that are Bitcoin holders. And like this intersection lies an opportunity, and Christians are asleep at the wheel. Morally sound people, anyone that doesn't like dishonesty and that wants a morally sound foundation is asleep at the wheel. And it's like, well, Josh, why should I care about this? Is it actually gonna change anything? Like, can we really fix the issue? Yes, we can really fix the issue if we understand what the real issue is. Okay, so that's the second thing that's happening is you have this Christians are listening to Dave Ramsey, which Dave Ramsey is right about debt and he's wrong about what comes next. Personal debt of any sort is a net negative. The problem with Dave Ramsey, not to get off on another tangent on this, but this goes right in with this, is that, and I used to hate Dave Ramsey, and now I'm like, no, Dave Ramsey, I respect you. What you've built is incredible, and I can respect that. Also, Dave Ramsey should be the biggest supporter of Bitcoin that exists on the planet. Like, Dave Ramsey's entire financial model, his entire financial education system fundamentally doesn't work in a broken money fiat system. It literally doesn't. But it literally does if there was a Bitcoin standard. It literally does in a world of Bitcoin. And it's like Dave Ramsey is the level of retarded that says, oh, well, what if one of those computer nerds just flips off the Bitcoin switch, someday? It's like, shut up, dude. Like, I like you, and I think you've done a lot of good for a lot of people. But the damage that you are doing and the utter ignorance that is coming out of your mouth around a topic that you have absolutely no jurisdiction to speak on or understanding to speak on is a problem, because you are a Christian and I respect you tremendously for that. And what you have done is your goal is to go and to set people free financially, to teach them biblical principles of the Bible, to teach them to spend less than they make, which is good, and to be like, hey, here's how you be wise with money. And then the system, or the system that screwed them all over and put them in debt in the first place, the very system that you're trying to help them escape from, okay, another alternative comes along and says, actually, that's wrong. This is biblically sound. Like, this aligns with everything that you're preaching about the Bible, and you say it's a scam and tell people to stay away from it. And it's like, you're cannibalizing your mission. I respect you, and I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. If anyone has a connection, I'd love to sit down with him, because I think Dave Ramsey can do he already has done tremendous good, but man, I'm fired up about this one. Can you tell? It's been a day. So you have that. So we're asleep at the wheel. So first you have the fact that the Bible says this is an abomination to God. Second is you have Christians that are like, God, please help us fix this issue. Please help us, rid the world of sin. Please help us, why is so much sin in the world? And also why, money is the number one cause of divorce. And, we're always struggling and needing to trust you for money. And God's like, here's the answer. And then Christians are like, no, that's a scam. And Dave Ramsey's like, stay away from it. And also they don't even realize that that's what it is. And so there's the second point. All right. So there's number 2. Number 3 is Bitcoin. You have the solution, which is Bitcoin. Kind of. The solution is morally sound money that is not an abomination to the Lord. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin inherently. It's just that Bitcoin is the first monetary system that ever exists that solves all these problems. But the problem is that people think that Bitcoin is an investment. People think that Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's like guys, Bitcoin is not what you think it is. It's not an investment, okay? It's not a freaking way to get rich. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not it's an exit. It's a way out because it meets the criterias of what God says is required for a way out. The mainstream pitch for Bitcoin goes like this. It's like, hey, buy Bitcoin because we're going to the moon. It goes up forever. We're all going to get rich. Yeah. No, that's the mainstream pitch, though. It's not it. But that misses the point. Bitcoin isn't about getting rich. It's about getting out, okay? You should be able, like, it should happen. I've been very blessed to make a fair amount of money and have a fair amount of success financially in the world and understand how to make money. I mean, I drive a Cybertruck. I know, I'm obnoxious. But business is hard. And the amount of time and effort and stress and anxiety that goes into figuring out how to keep your money once you make it, and to always feeling like it's, oh my gosh, everything gets more expensive and out of control. And it's like, you basically have to have a full-time job or a full-time degree in figuring out how to invest your money or what to do with it. It's like the system is intentionally designed to be hard, and it's like exhausting, and it's like you feel like you can't get ahead, and it's like, well, that's on purpose. That's by design. That's not how it should be, though. It should be, according to the Bible, okay? Do you see a man skilled in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before average men. It should be that you should be able to have a skill, start a business around that skill, and you focus on making money in your business. Or if you work for someone else, making money inside of someone else's business with your skills. And then you take that money and you save it. The end. And you repeat that process over and over and over again. And over time, the buying power of that goes up. You shouldn't have to risk it. You shouldn't have to invest it. and potentially risk losing it all in order to just break even and keep up with inflation or to, yeah. But that's not how it works. Bitcoin is that. It gives you the ability to just make money and buy Bitcoin and do nothing else. I know this because that is what I do. I own no other assets. I don't own a house. I don't own stocks. I don't own bonds. I don't own real estate. I own nothing except for Bitcoin. I make money in my business and I put it in Bitcoin. If the price of Bitcoin goes up, I don't care. Why? Because it didn't. It's one Bitcoin's one Bitcoin. It's a whole different thing. I'm getting off track. So we have this solution, Bitcoin, that people don't understand what it is. They think that it is, you have to diversify into 47 different asset classes to get ahead. And then they wonder why the world is the way that it is. And then you go, well, how is it that the rich keep getting richer? Because they're using a dishonest scale. They're doing things that are an abomination to the Lord, okay? Again, this is not me preaching at you about biblical, like, oh, morally high. I'm no better, worse. I'm no worse or better than you are. Like, I'm just as horrible as anyone else. My point is that they're using a scale that is dishonest to God, and Bitcoin, people want to classify it as in the same category as everything else, and it's fundamentally not. It's just not. And like, Christians need to freaking get it through their head, because like we have, okay, I'm getting upset. All right. Number 4. So we have the fact that like the Bible basically demanded the need for Bitcoin 3,000 years before it existed. The Bible was like, a dishonest scale is an abomination to the Lord. And we're like, okay, what do we do with that information? Because all of it's freaking dishonest. And it's like, well, now Bitcoin is not. So it's like, okay, we have that. Number 2 is Christians are just asleep at the wheel. We've given up hope. We've stopped believing that God can actually solve this issue. One of my favorite lines by a pastor of all time is like, if you have to wait until death in order to be free, then death is your savior and Jesus is not. Okay, like you can start living in freedom now. God does miracles now. He wants to he's bringing his kingdom to earth now, not in the future. Okay, and Christians are asleep at the wheel at the fundamental base of it. Third is you have Bitcoin is not what you think it is. It's not an investment. It's an exit. We can't categorize it into the same category as everything else. Okay, number 4. We got 2 more. Okay, number 4. All of this comes down to the simple issue that sound money that cannot be manipulated, debased, or confiscated, is not a moral issue. It's not a financial issue. It's a theological issue. It's not really a moral issue. I mean, it is, but it's like, that's not actually, the changing of it is like, people think of money as financial, and it's like, no, to fix it, it's actually theological. And what do I mean by that? Well, like, okay, we kind of talked about this earlier. When the foundation of all economic activity, okay, money itself, and that's what it is a lie, then everything it built on top of it is disoriented. Meaning, prices, wages, savings, debt, the value of your labor, the cost of your home, all of that is run through a measurement tool that is being manipulated by people with the power to do so. That is not an economic problem. That's a truth problem. Okay, and if you believe Jesus is the truth, he is. It's not my opinion. It just is. Okay, Jesus is truth itself. He is the truth. He's the way, the truth, and life. So if Jesus is the truth, and if you believe that truth matters at a foundational level, and then the question of what money is becomes one of the most important, if not the most important question outside of salvation that you can ask. Sound money no longer becomes about money. It becomes about truth. Because when you look at money through the lens of financial, then you try to solve it through a financial lens, but it's not. Because money isn't about money. It's about the problem it's solving. It is a mechanism for storing and transacting value and interacting with one another. And God himself says in Proverbs 11, verse 1, that a dishonest scale is an abomination to the Lord. So that means that God is not looking at money through the financial lens. God is looking at money through a different lens. And if we look at that money through the same lens that God does, we realize that, my belief about the world, my belief about how humans should interact with one another, my belief about how we should live, my belief about God, life itself, if I apply that to money, if that matters, and I apply that to money, which is the single most influential, universally influential or significant thing in everyone's lives, regardless of your race, religion, age, across the board, there is nothing more far-reaching, with the exception of God himself, right, than money when it comes to affecting people's lives. So if you apply that and you cross the two of them, you realize, okay, you actually have to pick your theological approach first. And if you pick your theological approach first, which you should, by the way, you realize that the US dollar is evil. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. Any financial system, any economic system that does not align with your theological or religious worldview is fundamentally at odds with it then. And therefore, it is immoral and it's wrong. And so when you look at the US dollar, fiat money in general, it's not just the US dollar, it just happens to be the most powerful one, you go, oh, every time they print money, they literally steal, and they literally commit murder, and they literally are doing things that are abomination to God. So maybe I should go and say, well, what should money look like? What is my theological approach applied to money? What is my belief about the world, my belief about God, my belief about the Bible? If you believe the Bible, which I know many of you listening probably do, I do. I'm sola scripture, okay? If you believe the Bible, it is true, then you should say, like, well, what does the Bible say about money? Not like the whole stupid, oh, the Bible wants you to be prosperous, or here's what you should do with your money if you want to. The US dollar isn't money. It's not even money, guys. It's like, hold on, hold on, 1 second. Where's the... Okay, look. It's not money. Legally, this is not money. Technically, this is not money. Factually, this is not money. By any definition of any way you want to look at this, it literally and factually isn't money. It's currency. It isn't money. This is debt. This is a lie. This is not what, when the Bible talks about money, this is the dishonest kind, okay? And so, like, when you apply your theological, or I hate to say religious because religion sucks, but when you apply your theological worldview to money, if you believe in the Bible or if you believe that morality and truth matters in any format, the only conclusion that you can come to is to say that sound money is what we should strive for, and this isn't sound money. Every economic system in the world, including gold, by the way, fails to meet the requirements of what is necessary for theologically sound money. Okay, which brings me to the final point. Why does this matter? Right now, we are at potentially the greatest time in the history, or the most insane time in the history of ever to be alive. I mean, Jesus dying on the cross would be a pretty insane time, so probably not that significant. But like below that, but like the next one. Because we are living at a time where we have all of these things, like all of these shifts and all these changes happening at the same time. So you have macroeconomic changes, you have like a currency debasement, not just in one country, but like literally globally. You have civil unrest, you have economic uncertainty, you have power changes with what Trump is doing and all that. But then you also have microeconomics and micro shifts, you have societal shifts, you have religious shifts, and you are at the end. This is crazy, okay? We are at the end of a 250-year window. Now, on average, this is important, very important, so pay attention, okay? On average, a fiat currency lives or exists for about 250 years before it resets. So every fiat currency that has been the global superpower of the world, which is what the US is now, the average lifespan is 250 years, and then it collapses. It gets reset. This year, or was it last year? I got to look this up. Was the 250-year When did the US dollar turn 250? I think it was this. 250 years old. Not 250 years old. Yeah. I'm sorry. In 2035, we will have the U.S. dollar was the national unit of currency July 6th of 1785. So that means that in 9 years from right now, it will be 250 years old. Okay. So that means that the greatest currency, or the most influential currency in the world, the U.S. dollar, that is morally corrupt, not because it's the U.S. dollar. I actually think the U.S. is at least built on biblical principles and probably the greatest superpower for good that exists in the world today, even though it is kind of screwed. Regardless, that is going to be at the end of its lifespan, at the same time that for the first time ever in the history of all of humanity, like since the beginning of time, Adam and Eve, until now, we have a solution that is biblically sound and morally aligned, or morally aligned, sound and biblically aligned sound money. And an economic model that allows us to build on top of something that is not able to be corrupted, debased, defrauded for political gain or otherwise, which means it meets all the criteria of what God says sound money needs to be. What is that thing? Bitcoin. So yeah, I discovered Bitcoin. Can you tell? And that was like 4 years ago. And ever since then, I have not been able to separate these two things. And the problem is that we as Christians, or we as morally sound people, go and listen to Dave Ramsey. And again, I like him. I'm like, dude, you just got to get educated. Stop being dumb. Dave Ramsey's position on debt elimination is structurally, it's found like it's sound, but it's not possible to implement. Like if you're in debt, you can follow what he says to get out of debt, but then above and beyond that, it doesn't work. But then you have Michael Saylor on the other side of it. That's like, borrow all of this money, go into insane amounts of debt and just, use it to print more of it to buy Bitcoin. It's like, well, that's not it either. Okay. So what happens is we have this ability as Christians to go and say, okay, well, if we want to get rid of the world today, and I think that there might maybe no bigger issue that we need to address than the transgenderism issue. Like, it's a problem. Like minors getting transgenderism surgery. Like, I have 2 daughters. Like I will actually, if I watch a biological man walk into the women's restroom after my daughters walk in there, like, I will go to jail for a very long time. That's fine with me. But like, it's a problem. And it's like, well, Christians want to go, well, why is the world getting harder? Why is everything getting more expensive? Why does nothing seem like it works? Why does the healthcare system not work? That's completely screwed. It's like the most corrupt. Why does the food industry not work? Why does the political system not work? Why do our roads not work? Why does the education system not work? Name an industry. Why does nothing seem to work? Why is it that evil seems to be rewarded? Why is it that good and people that want to be morally sound, and why do they get punished? Why is it that if you want to wake up and do an honest day's work and go to work and take care of your family and come home and save some money and just be a morally good, sound person, be responsible? Why is that basically impossible? Why are you punished for that? Yet the people that are raping kids on an island, or that are Hollywood elitists, they get funneled millions and millions of dollars. Why are they rewarded? There is a reason for it, and it's because the money is broken. This isn't it, and it is. We are using an economic model that is an abomination, it says in the Bible, to the Lord. And Christians want to solve that issue. They go, God, why is this happening? And God's like, because you're using something that's an abomination. And they're like, well, how do we fix it? And God's like, well, I gave it to you. And then we ignore it because we don't understand it. And few people seem to get it. People that I respect don't get it. People that I thought would get it don't get it. It's like, you cannot, if if you participate in the system that is an abomination to the Lord, you're just furthering the system. And now there's a way out. So I think we should just change the show to Bitcoin and Jesus. That's what we should name the show. Honestly, that's probably what we're going to do. If you think we should name the show Bitcoin and Jesus and just talk about this, comment below and be like, yes, name it to Bitcoin and Jesus. Shout out Annie Grace, by the way. She gets it. Guys, we have an opportunity right now to reset the world. The reset's coming, whether we like it or not. It's happening. And when it does, one of two things happens. Only one of two. Either A, when the fiat currency system of the world today collapses, it will cause mass chaos and panic, and then the new system that comes in will also use a broken money system, a system that does not have sound money, that does not meet the qualifications of being a non-abomination, that can be manipulated, that can be debased. And we will live through another 250-year cycle, and our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids will live in a world where evil gets to be fueled and funded by your and my hard work off of a broken system that they lie and cheat. That is what has happened every single time throughout history, anytime there's been a reset. Or, when the reset happens, we will rebuild on top of the first economic system, the first monetary system, the first monetary system that is fundamentally aligned with biblical principles, that is morally sound, and that isn't an abomination to the Lord, according to Proverbs. And if that happens, we literally we cut off the blood and the oxygen of the beast. We literally kill it. We strip its ability to steal from us and to fund the endless violence and killing and immorality that they shove down our throats. And our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids and generations to come get to live in the benefits of a society that is operating in accordance with biblical principles. That's the other option. Which one do you want? I want the latter, the second one. And the single determining factor, the group that can actually go and make that happen, the group that is large enough, that is significant enough, that lives by their morals enough to make that happen, is Christians, is morally sound, truth-seeking individuals, is people that believe that morality exists and that it is worth pursuing and living by. But yet those very same people, 230 million Americans fall into this category, and those very same people look at the solution and look at what needs to happen as a scam or as the mark of the beast of Revelation, because Dave Ramsey said some internet kid can flip the switch off. And it's like, wake up. We've got one shot at this for the first time literally in the history of ever, since the beginning of time, okay? And if we mess it up, then it's going to be at least another 250 years or longer before the next generation even has the ability to go and do it again. And yet we're so worried about what's the revenue of my business and is it going to convert well? Or, no, I won't buy Bitcoin because it's the mark of the beast. Okay. That's all I got tonight. This show is nuts. I'll leave you with this. If you take nothing else away, hold on, I need some Dr. Pepper. Shout out Dr. Pepper. Death, sugar, poison, fiat money. Every problem in the world today, every one of them can be traced back to broken money. Fix the money, fix the world. Bitcoin fixes this. I'll tell you a story. This is one of my favorite stories of all time. That happened to me. It's like one of the, it is the most significant, or it is the time when I felt possibly more seen than I have ever seen, more seen than I ever have felt in my life. And is one of my favorite, like, moments of my entire life. Like, right up, top 3. I was at an event. It was actually Funnel Hacking Live. We were in Vegas. And we were at an Airbnb mastermind. It was me, a really good friend of mine named Brad, and let's say there was some other people in the room, and a lot of these people I respect. And I'm a Bitcoin fanatic. I am so far down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. It's kind of hard to imagine. But anyway, we're sitting there and we're going around the room in this mastermind. And all these people are like 7-figure, 8-player, 7 and 8-figure players, some 9-figure players. People in the room that have done $100 million. Some of the people have exited. Annie Grace was in the room. In fact, she's actually a pretty significant part of the story. And shout out Annie Grace. She's one of the few that gets it with Bitcoin. And so we're going around the room, and the game, or the thing we were doing was like, hey, what's a topic that you could go and you could talk about essentially for hours? Like, you could give a multi-hour long presentation on, unscripted, unprepared, just right off the cusp. So everyone's going around the room, and there's like maybe 12, 13 of us in there. And there's a particular guy sitting next to me. I'm not gonna say his name, but a pretty big player. He's sitting next to me, and we have a kind of a history back and forth, a friendship. And he kind of thinks I'm like, woohoo, with the whole Bitcoin thing, which I'm like, bro, you should get it, but you don't. Oh, well, that's all right. So he goes and says his, and then it comes to me, and I go, well, mine is, and then this guy cuts in and goes, let me guess, Bitcoin. I'm like, yeah, actually, it is. Yes, Bitcoin and Jesus, actually. And he laughed, and other people laughed. Oh, yeah, Bitcoin, all this. And I'm like, yeah, but why? And I said this. I said, well, the reason for this is because I believe that if like Bitcoin fixes this. There's that cliche saying of like Bitcoin fixes this. It's like everything. Bitcoin fixes this. Why? Because it's truth. It's not the truth. It's just truth. It's aligned with what God says. It's the most fundamental way that we know to interact with the laws of physics. And if physics are God's law, then it just works. And so anyway, he goes, it kind of mocks me and makes fun of me a little bit, but oh well, whatever. So we go on. He goes to the next person, and it gets to this lady, and this lady goes, her answer to this question of like, what's this topic that you could just talk for off the cusp for hours on with no preparation, is she goes, women's reproductive health issues, and this obviously the whole kind of got the whole room engaged or interested, and she's talking about how the system has lied to women and with birth control and like all this, and was going into this whole long like thing about the problem is this huge issue. I have 4 sisters, I have 2 daughters, and like I'm shocked at how terrible it is, and I even am aware of it. And so she goes in, and really there's no solution to it. That was her kind of final consensus, or that we know of. And this guy sitting next to me turns to me and goes, let me guess, Josh, Bitcoin fixes this. Very sarcastically, right? And clearly meant to mock me. And I'm sitting there in my brain and I'm going, but dude, it does, because it's not, yeah. And I kept my mouth shut. I'm like, this is pointless. It's not gonna go anywhere if I respond. However, Annie Grace, shout out. She's sitting over, I don't know, like 2 people down from the lady that just had gone. And she looks at the guy who just mocked me and goes, you see, so-and-so, but that's the thing. It does fix this. And like, I have a history with this guy. Like, we go back and forth. I looked at her. I'm like, who are you? Yeah, like, I felt so seen in the moment because I'm like, oh my gosh, finally somebody else gets it. Like, somebody else understands that, like, the root cause of our issues is not the issues. The reason everything is broken is because the foundation it's built on is broken. And so anyway, most of you probably are like, Josh, why did you even share that story? I share that because it's a core piece of what made me am who I am today as far as bringing this forward. But my point with this is that once you see it, once you understand, once you start to grasp Bitcoin, once you start to understand, not even Bitcoin, the root cause of the problem, once you can start to tie everything back to like, oh, the love of money, the root of all evil. Money, broken money, and a dishonest scale is an abomination to the Lord. That's where the root cause is. That's where the issue is. And once you realize that the entire world today, as you know it, is built upon a foundation that is an abomination to the Lord, the whole world starts to make sense. And I would submit to you, if you are well off, I have a very good friend, very, 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 very successful. Very successful. If you're well off like him, if you've made money, it may seem like the system's working for you. It may seem like you have no need for Bitcoin. Great. But here's what I would have you consider. Every single day, every single time that you go and you play this game, every single time that you go and participate in a system that is an abomination to the Lord at its core, and you know that there is an alternative, and there's the very important caveat, because before Bitcoin there wasn't, and if you're unaware of it, then it's not a problem. But every time that you do that, you are simply knowingly furthering and empowering the problem. I don't hold it against you. I don't think you're a morally horrible person for it. But we need to think about that, because if we want to make a change, and if you actually believe that we have the ability to fundamentally address this for the first time ever in history at its core, to create a better future for our kids and our grandkids in the future, then you should be all in on that. And you should say, you know what? I'm going to consciously not further the system that I know isn't working. Again, it doesn't make you an evil, horrible person if you choose to participate in it. But you might not think that you need Bitcoin. You might not think that Bitcoin and Jesus have anything to do with one another. But they do. And I might just dedicate my entire life to fixing it, because I've got 2 daughters that deserved. If my daughters grew up knowing, and when they're 30 years old, and they look back and they were like, man, Dad, like, you knew? Like, there was a way, for the first time ever in history, that there was a way that you could, like, fix this effed up, like, this system that is an abomination to the Lord. Like you claim to, you read the Bible, you see what it says, you claim to follow Jesus, like, you know that, you saw that, and you decided, you know what? It's too early. No one gets it. People are going to think I'm crazy. Actually, I'd rather buy another Cybertruck. Or if they grew up, and find that out, what am I going to say to them? Like, no, I would feel horrible. It's like they deserve to grow up in a world. I don't even want to say they deserve it. Jesus knows what they deserve. I believe that as their father, and I believe that as someone that believes in truth, and I believe that someone that follows Jesus, that it is my job to do everything that I can to protect them and to give them a world, or to help them grow up in a world that doesn't steal their money from them while they sleep and then use it to shove transgenderism garbage down their throats and try to convince them that men can be women. The most appalling, horrific, like, evil concept that is straight from the pit of Satan. We have a chance to stop that. And yes, I know this is a moral argument. And yes, I know moral arguments don't typically work when it comes to revolution. People go to status and all that, but that's not the point. The point is that, like, you should give a shit about this, and that, like, we have a chance. And if you want to hear more about this, and this is intriguing to you at all, you should comment below, and you should be like, yes, I want more of this, because we might just change the name of the show to Bitcoin and Jesus and just go all in on this. All right, that's all I've got for tonight. This was fun. Thank you for letting me rant. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button or love or subscribe or whatever. I don't even care, actually, at this point. We are doing an event next week called Invisible Deals. If you want to learn how to go spot opportunity that no one else sees, if you're an entrepreneur that wants to play the game on a higher level, there's my transition to the pitch, call to action. You should come. It's in person. We rent out a golf course. You're going to hear me rant a lot about Bitcoin there as well, because it all connects. With that, I'm going to sign off. We'll be back tomorrow. At this point, who knows? Maybe with a different show name? I don't know. No. Tomorrow, we'll be back with the Deal Desk. And talk about deals and deal structure and update on the Elon Musk, Sam Altman OpenAI trial with $134 billion at stake coming up here in like a month. That's coming up tomorrow as well. All right. Bitcoin isn't what you think it is. Jesus and Bitcoin, they're interlinked. I love you all. See you tomorrow. Bye.